Tom, thanks for joining us. First of all, if I would have told you a week ago that this was going to play out with what happened with Antonio Brown, you would have said what?
I wouldn't have been surprised, Dan, because this has been Antonio Brown's pattern of behavior the last 3 or 4 years. And as you mentioned, yeah, on our show, we got a lot of Buccaneer fans. Now, there were some fans that were pushing back at us saying, Antonio Brown, I don't care what goes on off the field. He's a dynamic playmaker. He can help us win a Super Bowl. So I don't care about what happens off the field. Those fans, presumably enough, are nowhere to be found right now, obviously.
What bothers you about this story, whether it's the Buccaneers side of this, Bruce Arians, or Antonio Brown? Like, is there something that doesn't match up correctly here?
Dan, for me, it's Antonio Brown and what he did last weekend leading up to that Jets game. I mean, who would have thought that the most scoring he would do was off the field last weekend, the night before the Jets game, rather than the Jets game itself? But him complaining about the lack of targets is not really a surprise because he did the same thing in Pittsburgh a couple of years ago that led to his departure. And he was the second most targeted receiver at the half of the game against the Jets. So I'm not sure why he would sit there and start complaining. And then reportedly, he went to the Buccaneers and wanted them to guarantee some of his incentives. I mean, you've got the audacity to try and pull that card with the Buccaneers. So his erratic behavior is all over the place. And that's a guy who I think is crying for help.
What are the reviews of Bruce Arians and how he's handled it this week?
I think very good. I think Bruce has handled it about as well as you can. I mean, he couldn't say much earlier in the week to us via the Zoom calls because lawyers were getting involved. And to be quite honest with you, Dan, I don't think Bruce wanted Antonio Brown here in the first place. And the only reason why he's here, as you know, is because Tom Brady still carries a lot of influence within the Buccaneer organization. So Bruce relented and said, okay, we'll bring him in. We're going to hold our breath and hope that he stays on his best behavior. And it was going well there for a while. And then the fake COVID vaccine card controversy came to a head. And then it didn't take long after that for Antonio Brown to melt down again.
But, Tom, I'm curious. I don't understand this. If Antonio Brown is claiming about his targets at halftime, he's going to check out of the game, but then he does need surgery on his ankle. How do you get these targets if you're not capable of playing because you need surgery on your ankle? Something doesn't add up here.
Well, that was his side saying, yeah, the ankle was all jacked up, but he was not in a boot. He was not in crutches after the game. He was seen courtside at a Brooklyn Nets game the very next night. So that's what his side was claiming. The Buccaneers claimed that he was cleared to play. He was out there. He was playing. And then for some reason, he didn't want to go back into the game. And as Bruce Arians said yesterday, you know what? Get the blank out of here. You're done.